Did you know that Starfield reached over 230,000 concurrent players in the first 2 hours of early access on Steam? On September 6, 2023, Phil Spencer announced that Starfield had become Xbox's most played game ever, with 1 million concurrent players. In this video, we'll explore the gameplay, the game's development journey, its marketing and release, how it was received by the gaming community, and the controversies that it stirred. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Starfield is an action role-playing game developed by Bethesda Game Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. It was announced during Bethesda's E3 presentation in 2018. The game takes place in a space-themed setting and is the first new intellectual property developed by Bethesda in 25 years. The game was released for Windows and Xbox Series X and S on September 6, 2023. Starfield is an action role-playing video game. The player can switch between a first-person and third-person perspective at any time. Starfield features an open world in the form of an area within the Milky Way galaxy, containing both fictional and non-fictional planetary systems. The player is able to land on more than 1,000 planets, and an unspecified number of moons and space stations. The majority of the landscapes within the game were procedurally generated. They were subsequently modified, and handcrafted content was developed around them. The game generates the terrain and the alien flora and fauna of a planet depending on the star of its system and its atmosphere, as well as locations of interest as the player approaches a planet. The largest city in the game, New Atlantis, is the largest fictional city Bethesda has developed. As the player explores the game world, they encounter various non-playable characters, or NPCs, some of whom may join the player's crew. Such NPCs may aid the player in combat, carry items, or, during confrontations, speak to other NPCs on the player's behalf. Some may comment on the choices the player makes. The player may station crew members at any of their constructed outposts. Each companion character has their own unique skills and abilities. Some recruitable NPCs are able to be romanced by the player. At the game's beginning, the player may customize their character, who is a silent protagonist. This includes choosing their body type, appearance, background, and traits. Choosing the background of the player character unlocks 3 starting skills. As the player progresses, they will unlock additional traits which may aid or hinder them. For instance, the introvert trait grants the player more endurance when traveling alone, but reduces their endurance when traveling with a companion. Traits are removable through quests or certain actions. As the player progresses, they gain experience and level up, allowing them to unlock abilities found in 5 distinct skill trees: physical, social, combat, science, and tech. Each skill can be ranked up by completing related challenges. A variety of firearms, explosives, and melee weapons may be used to defeat enemies. Most weapons are customizable via attachments. Equipping a telescopic sight enhances a weapon's accuracy, while equipping a suppressor may engender a stealth-oriented playing style. The player is additionally able to equip various jetpacks called boost packs, which aid the player in both combat and the traversal of impassable or challenging environments. When landing on a celestial body, the gravitational force acting upon the player varies depending on the body's mass. This may affect combat. Starfield is the first new intellectual property by Bethesda Game Studios in over 25 years, and has been described by director Todd Howard as Skyrim in space. The studio had been delving into space-themed games since as early as 1994, according to Howard. They had acquired the rights to make a game based on the Traveler role-playing system, but shortly lost them. Their Delta V game in 1994 had been part of this Traveler license, but had not been fully realized. Howard stated they had the rights to Star Trek in the 2000s, and he pitched an idea for a role-playing game in that setting, but this failed to be approved. While Bethesda had wanted to do a science fiction game for some time, and had strong ideas for its gameplay style, it took a while to cement the ideas behind Starfield that would distinguish it from other science fiction games already released. They came onto a theme that lead artist Istvan Peli dubbed NASA Punk, that, although set in humanity's future, used technology that can be traced to origins in various NASA space missions. Bethesda's team began writing a fictional narrative of events by decade of the approximately 300 years from development of the game's present in order to ask, and now man is living amongst the stars. What does that mean? According to Howard, Starfield's concept had been in the studio's development plans for some time prior to the trademarking of the name in 2013. Of other potential names for the game, Howard said, "There were no other names. It had to be Starfield." He said that active development of the game had been ongoing since the release of Fallout 4 in November of 2015. By mid-2018, the game was in production, had already been in development for some time, and was in a playable state. Due to the technical requirements of the game, without a powerful GPU, upscaling is important to achieve reasonable frame rates. Ahead of the game's release, Bethesda announced an exclusive PC partnership with AMD, causing concerns among gamers that the game would not support DLSS or XeSS, both considered superior to FSR, and that the game may have performance issues. DLSS in particular has been noted as having a drastic visual improvement over FSR, based on reviews of game mods that added DLSS to the game. Several other recent games with AMD sponsorships have supported only FSR and not DLSS, including Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Dead Island 2, Resident Evil 4, The Callisto Protocol, and Saints Row. Conversely, most recent NVIDIA-sponsored titles supported both DLSS and FSR technologies. Starfield launched with AMD's Fidelity FX Super Resolution technology, the only upscaling method the game supports. Starfield also supports AMD's Contrast Adaptive Sharpening, or CAS, and Variable Rate Shading, or VRS. The game does not support NVIDIA's Deep Learning Super Sampling, Deep Learning Anti-Aliasing, or Frame Generation. AMD gaming chief Frank Azor has stated that there is nothing blocking Bethesda from adding DLSS to the game, and that if they wanted to add DLSS, they have AMD's full support, and that when publishers ask for DLSS support, we always tell them yes. Xbox Series X and S also support FSR, but not DLSS, which is another reason to prioritize FSR over DLSS. When asked if Starfield is AMD exclusive, Azor stated, "If and when Bethesda wants to put DLSS into the game, they have our full support." Bethesda did not answer questions about whether it will add DLSS. Before the game's wide release on September 6, 2023, a free mod was released by Pure Dark to add DLSS 2 to Starfield. Pure Dark also released a mod to add DLSS 3 with frame generation. However, this mod was not free and included DRM. Both the non-free nature of the mod and its inclusion of DRM were seen as controversial by the gaming community. Shortly after its release, the DRM for the DLSS 3 mod was cracked. The PC release also lacks other features considered standard for AAA PC games. The PC release does not support HDR, even though the Xbox release does. There are also no gamma or contrast controls, and there are no options to adjust the field of view or anisotropic filtering. The game did not support Intel GPUs at launch and is also optimized much more efficiently for AMD GPUs than for NVIDIA and Intel GPUs. Starfield runs at 4K resolution on the Xbox Series X and 1440p on the Xbox Series S. Both versions use AMD FSR2 upscaling. On the Series X, the game runs at an internal resolution of 1440p, and on the Series S, the internal resolution is 900p. Both Xbox versions run the game with a frame rate capped at 30 frames per second. The rationale for the frame cap was to provide consistency. Most areas of the game run at 30 FPS. However, in some cities, the frame rate drops below 30 FPS, causing some stuttering. At Bethesda's E3 2018 presentation, the gaming world got its first glimpse of Starfield. Fast forward to E3 2021, where an in-engine trailer showcased the game's improvements using Creation Engine 2, and announced a release date of November 11th, 2022, for Windows and Xbox Series X and S as a console exclusive. The London Symphony Orchestra tantalized fans with the game's title theme, Starfield Suite, composed by Inon Zur during the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim 10th Anniversary concert in November of 2021. This track was later released on various streaming platforms in April 2022. However, in May of 2022, Bethesda delivered a blow by delaying Starfield's release to the first half of 2023. This decision was made to ensure the game's quality, with added support from Microsoft's engineers. On March 8, 2023, Bethesda set the final release date for September 6, 2023. In a presentation called Starfield Direct on June 11, 2023, Bethesda Game Studios unveiled approximately 45 minutes of gameplay. The marketing continued with Bethesda's release of a 3-part animated series titled Starfield: The Settled Systems in July of 2023. These shorts offered glimpses into the daily lives of characters in the game's major cities. During Gamescom Opening Night Live in August 2023, a live-action commercial and a live piano rendition of the game's main medley by Inan Zur further heightened the excitement. Notably, Starfield was playable during Gamescom, and Todd Howard and Xbox CEO Phil Spencer conducted an exclusive demo for the press, showcasing the initial 15 minutes of the game. For those eager to dive deeper into the cosmos, Bethesda offered various editions of the game, including the Premium and Constellation editions, which granted early access, free access to the first story expansion, called Shattered Space, and a treasure trove of bonus materials. Microsoft also jumped on the Celestial bandwagon, releasing Starfield-themed accessories like an Xbox wireless controller and headset, along with a console decal wrap designed for Xbox Series X, set to launch on October 18, 2023. In June 2023, Bethesda announced AMD as the exclusive PC partner for Starfield, even hosting a giveaway for limited edition Ryzen 7 7800X3D CPUs and Radeon RX 7900 XTX graphics cards, styled after the game's Constellation organization. To sweeten the deal, AMD provided free game codes via Steam with select product purchases online. Upon release, Starfield received a generally favorable reception, as indicated by review aggregator Metacritic, with 91% of critics recommending the game on OpenCritic. Reviewers, such as Leon Hurley from GamesRadar Plus, applauded Starfield for its expansive and immersive world, creative and varied missions, solid mechanics, and impressive graphics. Hurley did, however, note minor flaws, such as the absence of stealth and pickpocketing skills at the start. In his view, Starfield represented Bethesda's best work since The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion, offering a universe ripe for exploration and freedom-loving players. Gene Park, writing for the Washington Post, praised Starfield as a massive and ambitious project by Bethesda, commending its exploration of new frontiers. He considered Starfield's main mission as the studio's finest yet. Notably, many reviewers were pleasantly surprised by the relative lack of bugs at launch compared to previous Bethesda titles, suggesting a more polished release. Opinions diverged regarding the game's story and characters. IGN lauded the world building and the diverse array of companion characters, highlighting the dynamic side quests that allowed for immersive role-playing experiences. However, Digital Trends found the characters somewhat one-dimensional, while praising the varied side quests. Tech Radar, on the other hand, criticized the main story for feeling somewhat soulless. Starfield's implementation of space exploration also provoked mixed responses. PC Gamer criticized the game for failing to capture the grand adventure of space and bemoaned its reliance on loading screens and fast travel between planets. Digital Trends shared similar sentiments, expressing disappointment with the shallow nature of space travel and the repetitive aspect of exploring the game's 1,000 planets. In contrast, Destructoid offered a more positive perspective, commending the sandbox's unpredictability and the abundance of content waiting to be discovered. A consistent source of praise was the game's original score, composed by Inan Zur. Destructoid appreciated how the score's themes seamlessly integrated with the space setting, while Shack News described the music as phenomenal, evoking moments of wonder and immersion in the game's universe. So, now it's time to hear your thoughts on the Starfield game. Let us know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.